sails in the heart of Beijing, these sails represent thousands of years of interactions across the Taiwan Straits. Our histories are deeply connected. Yet, Taiwan's historical roots are often overlooked or even forgotten, depending on who you ask on the island. So, what do we really know about the history of Taiwan? We went to the streets of Taipei to find out.
历史什么时候开始？
我印象最有深刻，应该是从荷兰人入侵的时候，
明朝以前吧。
清朝覆灭的时候，
这更早当然是原住民的时期啊。台湾是一个不断被不同国家殖民的一个历史。
我的祖先从福建过来，我是第22代。
所以有一句话说“等刷贵台湾”。
有的人不喜欢过去啊，可是我们就是这么走过来的。
是真是假不知道，但是郑成功这是绝对假不了的。
We actually did a vox pop of people of different ages, mostly young people on the island, what they know about the history of Taiwan. There's a lot of confusion, it seems, about people's understanding about the history.
History will get used or misused or distorted or just not known by people. But it's not generally the right way to answer questions about today and the future.
The understanding from the mainland is that there has been a systematic effort by authorities in Taiwan to try to reshape the perception of the young people towards their identity. So in the history book, for instance, they've been talking about increasingly Taiwan's history instead of Chinese history.
I think what is true and clear is that whether you're in Taipei or whether you're in Beijing, this is a shared civilization. History has led to a divergence of politics, a divergence of economic structures to an extent, and it's the challenge today and in the future to resolve those differences which came from the history of the 20th century in a satisfactory way.
How important is it then to understand our shared history, across the two sides and while trying to make sense of today's situation?
And when we know the modern history of how the Chinese Civil War ended, with one side escaping or fleeing to Taiwan, and the government of the People's Republic declaring there to be a government of all of China, both sides actually agreed that there was one China.
Yeah.
So the idea that there was mainland and there was Taiwan and some other locations, all part of China, was actually not even debated between the two sides in the aftermath of the Civil War. And I believe, as history has also shown in recent years, there was the so-called consensus of 1992, in which there was an agreement. We will be mutually respectful, we will be cooperative, we have different systems, but there's one China in this sense. And
given that situation, how likely is it that we're going to find a peaceful solution where people are willing to sit down and talk and cooperate?
I'm sure that the overwhelming majority of people on both sides of the straits want peace. China's culture is a culture of peace. So the culture, in my mind, and that's a culture on both sides, is a culture of peace. And every time the United States says, we will defend Taiwan, we will provide armaments, that is not a protection for Taiwan. That is intruding into the internal affairs of China in a way that I believe makes the situation more dangerous, not less dangerous. The United States stirs up a lot of mess in other parts of the world, and I don't want the United States to stir up a mess in this part of the world.